Alright, so we are at this relative velocity question. Previously I taught you that if we have velocity of A relative to B, you will use velocity of A minus VB. Now this is wrong, actually it should be plus. So if I have velocity of A relative to C, this will be the same as velocity of AB plus velocity VBC. So relative velocity of A relative to B plus velocity of B relative to C. Okay, now let's look at this question. So we have this train that passes through the station with a speed of 20 meters per second in the direction shown measured relative to the platform. Now because it's measured relative to the platform, which is same as relative to Juan since he's standing on the platform, so this 20 meters per second here is the velocity of the train relative to Juan. Now because we said that to the right is positive, and since this is going to the left, this would be minus 20 meters per second. Then it tells us that Carmen is walking along one of the carriages of the train with a speed of 2 meters per second, measured relative to the carriage, which is the same as relative to the train, right? So this 2 meters per second here is velocity of Carmen relative to the train. Since she's going to the right and positive is the right, this remains as positive. The question asks us for velocity of Carmen relative to Juan. So I'm looking for VCJ. So how do we find VCJ? So the velocity of Carmen relative to Juan will be the same as the velocity of Carmen relative to the train plus the velocity of the train relative to Juan. What's the velocity of Carmen relative to the train? Positive 2. What's the velocity of the train relative to Juan? Minus 20. So that gives us minus 18 meters per second. So the answer is B. Now we move down to question number 4. Similar question. It tells us that this boat is moving in the direction shown with a speed of 5 meters per second as measured by Nico, who is at rest. So this 5 meters per second here is the velocity of the boat relative to Nico. Since we say that to the right is positive, it means that this 5 meters per second will be a positive 5 meters per second. Then it tells us that Aziz walks along the deck of the boat in the direction shown with a speed of 2 meters per second measured relative to the boat. So this is the velocity of Aziz relative to the boat, and it is 2 meters per second. Now since he's going to the left but positive is to the right, means this 2 would be a negative 2 meters per second. The question asks us for the velocity of Nico relative to Aziz. So I'm looking for V and A. So V and A, velocity of Nico relative to Aziz, will be equal to velocity of Nico relative to the boat plus velocity of the boat relative to Aziz. Now notice that this is NB, but here I have BN. So if I want to find VNB, what do? I just need to change the sign in front. So now this becomes minus 5 meters per second. So VNB would be minus 5. I add VBA, but again check out, this is BA, this is AB. So in order to find VBA, I need to change the sign in front, so now this becomes positive 2 meters per second. So I'm going to add 2, and that will give us minus 3 meters per second. So that's the relative velocity of Nico relative to Aziz. Answer